Okay, hello everybody, and thanks for listening and watching this episode of the Clean Food Dirty Girl podcast. Today I have a guest on the show. Her name is Stephanie. Hello, Stephanie. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, Molly.
So Stephanie is going to be sharing with us her experience in with plants, with eating plants, with losing weight, with Droplet Club, with all the things. So, Stephanie, you started in January when we first kind of launched, right? You were in that original kind of
Yep.
crew in the very beginning.
Yep, I was.
Okay. And you decided to jump on board. Tell us what made you kind of decide to do this.
Well, I actually didn't jump as quickly as I should have. I missed the first deal.
Ah.
When the first offer came out, I think it was early November, that it was first kind of launched. I looked at it and I thought about doing your resets before, and I just thought I can't afford it. I'm a single person. I just bought a house. I'm living by myself. There's no way I can't afford it. And so I kind of put it to the back burner and didn't think about it again. And a couple weeks later, I was up visiting my boyfriend and some friends in upstate New York and got another one of the emails saying, hey, it's still going on. You can still save this. It'll now be whatever it was. And I kind of thought about it. I was just sitting there drinking coffee one morning and I thought, well, I do have the money. I'm not destitute. I don't have a lot of money, but I don't live paycheck to paycheck. And if I'm not going to invest in my health, then what am I going to invest in? I felt like over the last year, my eating had gotten out of control, and I could probably, in my mind, easily justify spending $300 in 1 month on binging food and not even think about it. And so I took the jump right after Thanksgiving. I signed up and then proceeded to have 3 or 4 weeks where I ate complete shit. And right around Christmas time, I thought, what am I waiting for? I don't have to wait for January 6th to start. I can at least just clean stuff up a little bit. And that was the beginning.
That was the beginning. Okay. Well, you hit on something, and it's so interesting because I used to be the same exact way with alcohol and with cigarettes. Like, I would not even think, if something was like $100 and I really wanted it, I'd be like, oh, I couldn't possibly. And then I would proceed to spend $100 like at the bar without even thinking. And of course I had the money for that. And if I didn't, I would make it happen. So
Right.
It's really interesting how the human brain the priorities can be really just, really fucked up in ways, right?
Absolutely.
And when we stop and we're like, wait a minute, like I do have the money. And you're right. Like the thing is, I was talking to a neighbor last night and he's had some health scares and he's gone completely whole food plant-based. And he's like, if you don't have your health, what do you have?
Right.
Like,
really. The more I was thinking about it, I moved down to Central Florida. So I'm kind of a little fish out of water here. And I moved down here to help my parents. And so I'm watching them get older and I'm watching, mobility decrease. And I've seen it before in other people. And I thought to myself, I'm 48 years old. If I don't get a hold of my health and my mobility now, what is the next 30 or 40 years going to look like? And if I don't make the choice to do something about it now, then the joint problems I'm already feeling, the discomfort in my body that I'm already feeling is only going to get worse as I get older.
Yeah. It's so true. I mean, that's what happens. And you said it really well, if you make the choice, because it is a choice. And we all know that like we do have, we're not in control of everything, but we do have choices to make for sure. So you made the choice to sign up and start with us on the 6th or the 7th of January. So now when people sign up, they don't have to wait because it's like a rolling program. Yeah. But so what were did you have a specific goal in mind when you joined? as far as like an amount of like pounds you wanted to lose, a clothing size you wanted to lose? What was that like going into it?
Um, I try not to be specific with myself, and I don't know if it's
Mm,
because I don't want to set a goal and not reach it,
mm.
or if it's because I just really don't know what a healthy goal weight would be.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
and I want to let my body tell me.
Mm,
Um, you know, I had gone through a period in my early 20s where I've always been overweight. But in my probably mid 20s, I lost a bunch of weight. I did the Weight Watchers program. I exercised like 3 hours a day because I had nothing else to do.
mm,
And with all of that time and effort and energy, I got down to about a size 12.
mm.
And what I felt was a comfortable weight. It was about 170. I think maybe I got to 165 once. Um, and I thought, okay, that's a comfortable weight for my body. This is where my body wants to be.
Mm.
And in retrospect, I'm thinking about that and I'm thinking, yeah, that's where I wanted to be with 3 hours of intense work every single day.
Yeah,
And now I didn't know anything about nutrition at that point, but
right.
I'm just curious to see where my body ends up if I keep giving it what it needs and
Yeah.
trying not to put that limit on it, you know?
Yeah. That's so cool. And I'm so glad that this program exists. Like I know that I'm
Me
biased,
too.
but really like this, like approaching it in a way where you kind of like you let your body lead, I think is such a beautiful way to do this. And it sounds like you were already kind of like on board with that. So it was a very natural fit because
Yeah.
as I mean, you've been there since the beginning. So you know, it's like I talk about it all the time. Just be a detective of your body. This is your
Yeah.
body. This is your body's journey. Like you're there to support your body, but like your body will tell you, especially when you start eating really, really, really healthy and your stress levels come down and you're getting good sleep and you're moving your body and not 3 hours a day, right?
Right.
Like no need to do that. We have very practical, like, 10 minutes, 20 minutes type of thing. But then just see what happens because we don't know. And I think you brought up such a good point. It's like, how do you know what your goal weight should be? Like people just pull this number out of their ass really. And I understand why, because we don't really know. I think a lot of us have this idea of, well, this is what I used to weigh and I liked that. And so maybe I'll go for that. But present day, your body present day, like you don't know what it's going to do.
Right.
You don't know when it will like start to plateau and just feel like, okay, this is where I feel good right now. And I think that going about it like that is just such a beautiful and very freeing way to go because then you're just going with
Absolutely.
the process instead of trying to make the process faster or make it into something.
Right. What I know
Yes.
is I'm nowhere near where I want to be yet.
Yes.
That's all
Okay.
I know. That's all I know. I gotta keep going, keep going.
You're
And I'm
going to
okay
keep
with
going.
that. I'm making
Yes.
progress.
Yes, making progress. And so let's just talk about it. So from the time you started, so you kind of started in December cleaning things up a little bit. You're like, okay,
Yes.
wait, the like crappy eating has got to pump the brakes on that. So you started transitioning more was it just getting the junk food out or like were you eating kind of a state like how were you eating in December once you started to kind of slow your roll?
So I had graduated from veganism to vegetarianism. Uh,
Okay.
sadly, I was ashamed of that because I have been eating vegan for probably 8 or 9 years now. And it's definitely both for the animals as well as for my health, probably more for the animals. So the
Yeah.
fact that I did start to reincorporate dairy into my life,
Mm.
I was. I think ashamed is the only way to word it. Like it really hurt my heart.
Oh.
um, and so when I decided to start cleaning stuff up at the end of December, I was like, okay, I need to be 100% back on the vegan train, and got through any of the processed shit that I had bought, the faux meats and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And by got through, of course, I mean ate because it's what I do. But one,
Right.
but
You're
with
not going to throw it away.
throwing that away,
No. It's
but with the
expensive.
understanding that like when it's gone, it's gone.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and it's interesting. I've said that to myself so many times before, and this is why I'm so thankful for the program because I have been a binge eater my entire life.
Mm.
And so there have been so many times I'm one of those people where if it's in the house, I have to eat it till it's gone.
Yeah.
I was the same way with drinking. I quit drinking over a decade ago. If it's something that I am feeling those addictive tendencies to, I'm going to use it, consume it until it's gone.
Yeah.
So I got that out of the house and got back to fully vegan and starting to pull in more of the whole food plant-based recipes.
Okay.
I have been either a member or at least getting your recipes, the free recipes from the blogs, probably for, I feel like it's been 10 years. I don't know if it's been around that long,
We've
but
been around for 10 years,
okay,
so
then
it's very
probably.
possible.
Probably.
Amazing. Wow, it's so
I
cool.
was back in the download the PDF and print it off days.
Oh, gee. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. Did I know that? I don't think I knew that. Maybe I
I
knew it.
don't
I
know
don't
if you
know, but
knew
I
that
think
or
it's so
not.
cool.
Yeah.
Wow. We have so many
Um,
amazing people who have been in this community for so long. I love it.
yeah.
Wow.
Due to financial constraints, I've either been a fully, I don't know what they're called now, club member,
Meal Plan Club member?
meal plan club member. And
We've
then
changed it a couple times over the years.
yes, yes. And then I had to stop that for a while and I was just using the blog recipes. When I went through a divorce, it was shortly after that you started your coaching series.
Uh-huh.
And you actually coached me
Uh-huh.
right after I lost a friend to suicide. And it
That's
was
right.
a very emotional short call because I started crying and said,
No, I remember that call. I remember that call. I do. Yep.
And then I went back to being a recipe club member. And I love the fact that if you're okay with just doing the recipes and doing the work of putting your own stuff together, it's only $12 a month.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to, in probably 3 or 4 weeks, I should be through all of the recipes from the Droplet Club. And then I'm gifting myself Recipe Club again.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're like, okay, vegetarianism, that's been a thing. That's now we're going to hone it in a little bit. We're going to do totally vegan and then focusing on whole plant foods, which of course in Drop It, so the first 2 weeks of Drop It, you're basically getting ready, right? You're not following any guidelines and you're kind of doing what you had already started to do in December. And then, so the way the Drop It works for people who don't know, there's 3 different phases, and then you follow phase 1 for at least 4 weeks. And then only when your body plateaus, the weight plateaus, will you move on to phase 3. And then there's a different set of guidelines and you follow that until your body plateaus. And then there's phase 3. So now you're in phase 1 still, or are you in phase 2? I don't remember.
I'm week 13, phase 1 still.
Week 13, phase 1. So your body has not plateaued with the phase 1 guidelines, which is so interesting, right? You just never know.
It's teasing me. It's like it'll plateau even as far as 6 or 7 days. I think I even made it as far as 10 days. And then all of a sudden it'll just start dropping. Like I lost 3 pounds last week. And I was
3 pounds last week because you had been losing like half a pound ish for a little while.
Yeah.
Right. And then 3 pounds. And this is the thing, right? This is why we need to give our body time to adjust. And so often with weight loss, and maybe you used to be like this as well, but it was like a rush job, right? And
I'm still like that.
Yeah, right.
I'm
even
fighting
with being 13 weeks
in my head.
It's a good thing you have coaching.
I was like, God, I'm still just not where I want to be.
And so tell me, how many pounds have you lost so far? Because I know your number from the last time you updated, but you tell us.
I'm just over. I hit 25 this last weekend, so I'm like 25.3.
Yeah,
which is January,
which is crazy.
Yeah. And my brain still is able to look at that and say, you should be losing faster.
Right.
Like, that's a healthy way to lose weight. Like, that's the perfect way.
Yeah. So in Drop It, we have these weekly connection calls where I'm coaching people and cheering people on and, really inviting people to celebrate their humanness and their imperfections and their mistakes, because you can do all of that and reach your goal weight. But I think on every single call, pretty much, I remind people, have this take longer than you think it's going to take. Give yourself permission to have this take twice as long as you think it should take. Because I think with everybody, I mean, even 25 pounds is such an amazing accomplishment. And the brain's like, it could be more.
Right.
Could be
Yes.
more. You're just, I mean,
Yes.
it's like we're so programmed.
I
But
picked up
25
a
pounds is
5-pound
awesome.
bag of potatoes the other day, and I was like,
Yes.
this is heavy. I've lost 5 of these, and
Five
I'm
of
still
those.
annoyed with myself.
Right. We're so
Annoyed is probably too
ingrained.
strong a word. I'm not annoyed, but
Yeah. You have like it's almost like a programmed expectation from a long time ago, probably is basically what it is. I think that so much of this is just rewiring our brain and setting new stories and letting go of the stuff that really isn't helping us anymore. And I think one of those stories in weight loss is, it should be fast. It should be faster
right.
than it's happening. And that unfortunately tends to derail us if that is the mindset, will eventually derail us, right? So I think it's so important just to be even aware of that is huge, just to have
Right.
that awareness, because then you don't have to let that thing take over and make
Right.
some like decisions that help you make some decisions that you ultimately don't want to make because you're on a roll with this and you're going. So phase one guidelines is basically eat a whole food plant-based diet, avoid coconut products, and eat 3 meals a day, no snacking in between, no eating after dinner. There's some movement involved. And so it's basically like a whole food plant-based diet with just a few other little tweaks. So because you're now 25 pounds down, you're not going to go to phase two because you don't have to right now. And you're just going to
Right.
keep going until you feel good, because you don't have that like set number, right?
Right.
You'll just go until you feel awesome.
Yeah. And I'm ready to go to phase 2 when and if I need to.
Right.
That's
Yes.
and that was one of the things where I think it was early. It was like the 3rd or 4th weekend, and I probably had a week where I only lost like, I don't know, a couple tenths of a pound, and I was like, oh, I must be plateauing already.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking, like, ever since then, every week or so, I'm like, I'm going to phase 2 next week. I know it. I just know it. And I'm so thankful that the program has those phases built into it. And I think I posted about that one day. Like,
Mhm.
it calms my mind when my mind starts like kind of spiraling about, oh, okay, this must be a plateau. Well, okay, you're supposed to plateau.
Yeah.
That's how this program's supposed to go. You're going to plateau,
Yeah.
expect it. And when it happens, here's this safety net in place. You're going to jump to this next level. And guess what? It's probably going to happen again. And then there's this whole other level for you.
Yeah.
And like you said all along, if it happens in phase 3, then we get on a one-on-one call and say, what else can we tweak?
Exactly. And that's what I tell like all of the droplets, which is the name, which I love the name droplets. But I tell them, hey, if you're on phase 3 and you've spent 4 weeks on phase 3 and nothing has shifted, like either your body is really where it needs to be, right?
Right.
Because that could be. I mean, there are people I have met in my life who are at a very healthy weight and they're like, I need to be 10 pounds lighter. And it's
Right.
like, okay, but does your body need to be 10 pounds lighter? Like, where are you getting that from? Right. So at
Yeah.
that point, it's a look to see, okay, well, do you actually like, what is your BMI? And we can, what is your waist to height ratio? Like, do you really need to, or is it really your mind wanting to? Or if it's like, okay, yeah, there is more weight to lose there and you're not, like, get on the call with me. I will make room in my schedule. We will go one-on-one and we'll see, okay, track your food for the next week and keep it in a food journal and let me look at it. Because I mean, I'm so confident with this program that it works.
Yeah.
That yeah, that's kind of like a guarantee that I give. And so I'm definitely willing to back that up. And so far, I don't think that anybody is in phase 3 yet that I know of. Nobody, there's people on
No,
phase
I haven't heard
2,
of anyone.
but I
Like, I've
haven't
heard of some people who are feeling close,
feeling
but
close. But it's
yeah.
like they'll have like, okay, I lost a half a pound, but then all of a sudden in a week, I'm now 2 pounds down or 2.5 pounds down. And so, okay, I'm not going to go on because,
Right.
right, the body just has, the body's in charge. You're supporting it,
Yeah.
So tell me what is, so you've been on Weight Watchers in the past and you have lost weight in the past. Tell me what's different this time.
I feel like this time, if I don't take it seriously, then I'm going to feel like this from here on out. Like in my mid-20s, you feel like you're just going to live forever, right? And not to be morbid, but none of us are. And then, excuse me, I had lost a bit of weight last time when I went whole food plant-based, not even trying to, just because the diet is obviously what my body wants. And then I started reintroducing the processed vegan food and the easy stuff again. And I really feel like this time, yeah, if I don't make the change now, then I'm just going to accept the fact that
Mhm.
my hips hurt. I'm going to accept the fact that my feet hurt. I'm going to just accept the different uncomfortable feelings that come with being overweight in a body that should be less.
Mhm.
And I'm just going to live in pain. When it's something that I truly believe, the aches that I have in my joints, that I don't think they're just because I'm 48. I think they're because I'm overweight and 48. And so if I have one part of that equation that I can do something about. Obviously, I can't do anything about my age, and I've earned every gray hair. I like them. I'm good with my age. Um, but I have full control over my weight. I never thought I did before. And I think that's something that through the coaching calls and through the journaling, I've really owned is I'm the only one who can control what goes in my mouth. I'm the only one who can control how much I choose to move my body or not move my body. Um, and I find that when I give my body what it needs and I move it the way it wants to move, I crave more of those healthy foods. And that 10 minutes a day movement has changed to closer to 25, 30, like as a baseline. And then I can do other fun things on top of that.
Mm, yeah. So it sounds like it's like you're at the point in your life where it's a little bit more like risky for you to not be serious about it in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
This is
right,
like my shit or get off the pot moment, right?
right. Love
Like
that. Yes.
if I don't do it now, then yeah, I'm going to be uncomfortable for the
Yeah.
next 40 years if I make it 40 more.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And it's really empowering how you put that because you're saying, if I keep doing it, I know that that's going to be my choice to be uncomfortable. And
right.
that's a really
Yeah.
powerful, empowering way to look at it because what you've realized is, okay, I can't blame anybody else and I can't expect anybody else to do this for me. And so
Yeah.
if I choose to not do anything about it, my choice is to be uncomfortable.
Right. Like
And
I've
yeah,
taken marketing classes. I understand statistics. Like I know what the large corporations are trying to sell me. I know
yeah,
why they put
yeah,
certain things at eye level.
yeah,
I know those tricks. So that means that it is on me because
right.
I'm not falling for those marketing tricks.
Yeah.
I know the different combinations of things that they put in food to make it more addictive. And I know I need to stay away from that.
Yeah. Yeah. It just really it's so sad that we live in a world that really um uses all of those tactics to get people hooked to their products that are really making people not well.
Sick.
Like it's so sad. It's so so
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
tell me how you are with following the guidelines because unlike a diet, right? This isn't a diet because this is all about eating and eating really
Right.
delicious food. However, there are things that we avoid, right?
Hmm.
But that is different than counting calories and deprivation and being hungry because
Right.
this program, I'm like, if you're hungry, you eat, you know,
Right.
like we're
Right.
not starving ourselves. We're not doing any of that. So
Yeah.
how has it been for you following the guidelines because you're in phase one right now? How has that been? Is it easy? Was it challenging in the beginning? Have you gotten used to it? Like tell us about that.
It there were parts of it that were challenging in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I might have cleaned up my eating, but I have not had a regular movement routine
Mm-hmm.
um, in a long time. Having moved down to again, Central Florida, I don't know anyone but my parents. Um, I had even stopped walking my dogs regularly. Like they had a yard they could play in, and I would just come outside and I would sit while they played.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I definitely got into a bit of a funk.
In the
Having
beginning.
all of my, yeah,
Hmm.
having all of my friends and family far away.
Yeah.
Super thankful to be able to be here to help my parents, and I'm very happy to be close to them. Um, but it was lonely, and I kind of just shut down. And so I ate more and I wasn't moving.
Yeah.
So I think for me, movement has been a key part because in the beginning, even the 10 minutes a day felt undoable.
Wow,
And
interesting.
it wasn't
Yeah.
because I was physically unable to. I could do it physically. It was mentally getting myself going,
Mm-hmm.
and making it a routine. And I started just on, I have a little stationary bike. And I started just, okay, I'll get on my stationary bike. I actually, so I think I, like a lot of people, were upset with, the election and the way the world is.
Yeah.
And I can't let myself get bogged down in that.
Mm-hmm.
So the only time I was allowed to check on current events was when I was on the bike. And I called it my rage cycling. And it would
Ah.
like power me through, and I would catch up on current events, and I would get angry for a few minutes, and then all of that frustration and hopelessness and anything I was feeling about our world, has to stay on the bike because that can't be
Oh,
a
that's
part of my
good.
world.
Yeah.
um, and then after, it probably took, I would say, at least 3 weeks, maybe even four, before that really became a 7 day a week thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I know in phase one it's 10 minutes every single day.
Yeah.
And then once I got into that, I was like, my dogs would probably appreciate going for a walk, not just playing in the yard.
Yeah.
Um, so, but I have some foot issues. I get in pain. So anyway, I've gone back and forth through different things, but the bike has been a godsend because not only do I get my little rage time, I'm also not allowed to doom scroll if I'm not on the bike. So that's not hurting my
You
mental
set
health.
good boundaries for yourself.
Yes. And I've been able to get out at least a few times a week with the dogs,
Okay.
to enrich their lives too.
I'm
Um,
sure they appreciate that.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. The 3 meals a day really didn't take very long to get used to.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it would because I was used to, I would have breakfast at school, I teach, and then I would have lunch at school, obviously. And then when school ended around 3 or 4, I would usually have a snack, either a granola bar, a couple pieces of fruit, something, before going home and having dinner. And then I'd snack at night.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really amazed. It was less than a week before I wasn't feeling hungry during those like snack times.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Um,
So one of the guidelines in phase one, and all of the phases, are no eating after dinner and no snacking, unless if you do get hungry, then eat a piece of fruit, eat some veggies. But so that didn't take you very long to kind of undo that habit of eating after
right,
dinner, which is interesting because for some people it takes them a while. Like
right,
that's a challenging one. But what's interesting is that we all have our different like experiences with the guidelines. And it's like for years it was like the exercise piece like
right,
sounds like it was the most challenging in the beginning, and some people are like the exercise thing I got, but like the food
right,
part, the the no eating after dinner, the no snacking after dinner is like sounds is really brutal for me. So but the other thing is you've been a detective of your body, and you've gotten to
yes,
learn this and observe, and then slowly, and not too slowly, but you
right,
did what works for you in a way that works, which is super important because ultimately we want this to work with your life so that it can be a
right,
forever thing, which there's no
right.
reason why it can't.
Yep.
Yeah. So in the past when you did like Weight Watchers and dieting, I'm just curious because you had you knew about healthy eating and you knew about like plant-based eating and vegan eating, but was there like ever a time that you really like were counting calories, that you were counting points, I guess, if you were in Weight Watchers and
Mhm.
going at this from a more like deprived angle?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
And so in Weight Watchers, it's counting points.
Yeah.
And I went to that. My mom worked for Weight Watchers for almost 30 years. She
Oh,
lost, when I was in
interesting.
like seventh grade, she lost 60 or 70 pounds and ended up working for them until she retired and moved down here to Florida.
Ah,
So to me, I'm used to having Weight Watchers cookbooks everywhere.
yeah.
I'm also used to that almost feeling of scarcity
Hmm.
that you can't have that. um Everything had to be low fat, everything, it was very conscious,
Yeah.
very top of mind.
Yes. Yeah.
And when I used Weight Watchers, it worked for me. The one
Hmm.
time I didn't go to meetings or anything, I was just following the points, but that was the time when I was also exercising like 3 hours a day.
Yeah.
um, and and that was also with the idea that it was a diet, it wasn't a lifestyle. And
Hmm.
when and if I got to X number, that goal weight, um, there was no plan. It wasn't
Yeah.
like, here's what you're going to do next. It was like, okay, you're going to reach your goal weight, and good on you, good luck.
Yeah. Yeah,
um,
which is the problem with diets, because then once you're off, because they do work, right? We do. I
right.
mean, in order to lose weight, generally speaking, you need to eat less calories than you burn. So, yes,
Yeah.
if you're restricting calories and you're eating less calories, then you're going to be able to lose weight. And I say this all the time. There's so many different ways to lose weight.
Right.
Um, but then if you're on a diet, then you go back, and then of course the weight comes back
Yeah.
because it's not a lifestyle.
Right.
So when you're following now these guidelines, and the point is really like to eat, did it take you some time to adjust to that idea of like not counting anything, not putting a lot of emphasis on calories, or like micromanaging your food, or was that a fairly easy transition?
That was the beauty of the program for me,
Mm-hmm.
really, because um, as soon as, I don't know if it's the addictive personality in me, but as soon as I start to feel that kind of scarcity,
Mm-hmm.
it's all I think about.
Yeah.
Um, so knowing, and I had remembered from when I had lost some weight, the only other time where I truly was whole food plant based for, I mean, it was maybe 4 or 5 months. I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm eating this huge plate of rice and beans with all these veggies, and I'm full. I'm really full,
Yeah.
and I'm still losing weight.
Yeah.
Um, and that's one of the things I think I enjoy is, I actually, a coworker of mine is trying to lose weight right now as well, and she does a calorie deficit. That's just how she's always lost weight in the past, and it's just so interesting to, we don't talk about it a lot. We don't have a lot of time to talk about it, but to see her, struggling with the trying to count everything and make sure she doesn't have the wrong amount or the right amount. And I'm over here like shoving my face full of as much quinoa and tofu and veggies as I can get in the 15 minutes we have to eat at lunch.
Yeah.
And I, what I love is that I don't feel depraved, and I don't feel like I have to make choices that would make me feel deprived at all.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if I want it, chances are I can figure out a way to make it whole food plant based.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm still learning to eat until I'm full. But I'm getting there. I'm
Yeah.
getting there. I
Yeah.
definitely still have more sometimes than I probably need.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but now I'm starting to recognize those signals from my body a little bit earlier than I would have before.
Okay, interesting. Well, yeah, this is such a process of getting in tune with the body.
Yeah.
And it happens naturally. Like it's not even anything that you have to really like sit there down and focus. It's like just by following the guidelines, you will naturally become more in tune with your body. It's just the way that it works.
Yeah.
And I think especially for people, because there's a lot of people who go into this who have struggled with binge eating in the
Mhm.
past, and I think especially for those people, this idea of like, this is not a scarcity mindset around food, this is an
Right.
abundance mindset
Yeah.
around food. And yes, eat, do not deprive yourself.
Yeah.
And if you really do want something that's not on the guidelines, plan it, right?
Right.
That's like one of the little hacks about this that we have is like, okay, you're going to plan it 24 hours later, and then you're going to eat it then, and you're going to really enjoy it totally and not
Yes.
feel guilty about it, and not tell yourself some story about how much you suck about eating it, but you're really
Right.
just going to enjoy it. And I think approaching it in that way makes it very realistic for people and really helps people who have struggled with binging in the past. Do you agree?
100%. It's definitely helped me. And it's helped me because when you're planning those exception meals, they are just that. It's not an exception day. It's not an exception weekend. It's a meal. I had a friend in from out of town this weekend, and we found a restaurant that was close to my house that actually had a grilled veggie sandwich on sourdough that I could easily, take off the mayonnaise that was on there, take off the goat cheese. And it came with tater tots. I was like, I really like tater tots. And, and I said, you know what? I'm going to get the tater tots that come with it, and I am going to savor every bite.
Yes.
And I did, and they were so good. And when they were done, my stomach said, we don't want all that grease anymore.
That's the other thing that happens. Yeah, that's like a sorry, not sorry type of situation. Because it's like you have this food that you love, and now you're like, oh shit, my body doesn't want that anymore. Yeah, that is a natural consequence. So sorry about that. I also love tater tots, and my body's like, ooh. Anytime I have oil, I made a muffin recipe a couple of weeks ago, and I used a little bit of oil because I wanted to test kind of this base recipe. And as soon as I had one, my stomach was like, it knew. And I knew that it was like an oil stomach ache. It's so weird how the body reacts.
That's exactly it. It ached. Yeah. It was just like, no, thank you.
Like we were 5 years old with a tummy ache. Like,
yeah. And it's funny to me because I very much enjoy popcorn. That has been like my weekend treat. The dogs get into it. It's a whole little family affair here. It's the only kind of food I share with them. And so it's a very happy time. And when I started the program, my boyfriend was kind enough. He actually bought me an air popper because cool. I was like, it's not a problem with popcorn, but I usually cook it on the stove with oil. And he in one day, he Amazon primed me an air popper, which was very sweet. And then I'm battling with myself, and I thought, well, but it's still a snack, and I want it after dinner.
Right.
And that's still really not when I'm supposed to have it. And there was a connection call we had, I don't know, maybe a month in or so. And someone was talking about, it was an after dinner snacking kind of thing. They were talking about popcorn.
Yes.
And they were talking about the good kind of popcorn and the bad kind of popcorn. Yes. And I just remember you saying, listen, if this is going to be the difference between you sticking with the program and not sticking with the program, have the popcorn once a week.
Have the microwave popcorn.
Have the
buttery bad popcorn.
So once a week, that is my exception. And sometimes I do the air popped, and sometimes if it's been a week where I'm really craving something sinfully delicious, I'll put a little bit of olive oil in, and I'll cook it on the stovetop.
Yeah.
And that's just, and I don't feel guilty about it at all. And every time I make the big bowl and I start feeding it to the dogs, I say, yeah, Molly says we can have the bad. But honestly,
it's good for you to do it.
I think that has helped me to stay on course because that gives me that out. It's not that scarcity you can't ever have it model.
Yeah.
It's, the choice you're making. You can have it with oil. You can have it air popped. Either way, nothing's off limits. You can have it. You just have to, another thing I like that you say that I think to myself all the time, you just have to like your why. Why am I having this? I'm having it because it's my weekly treat to myself, or was it just a shit day and I want popcorn?
Yeah.
Because if it was a shit day and I just want popcorn, then maybe I need to think it through.
Right.
But if it's my scheduled weekly treat, then
you like that why.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's going to be different for everybody, right? Because it doesn't matter what I think about someone's why, right? I could think it's the best why in the world. If they don't like it, then no,
Right.
But I think it's really, it keeps you out of that all or nothing mindset. And I think for so many people, even people who aren't struggling with weight, that all or nothing mindset is just, it doesn't help. Yeah. And it presents like it is helping, right? And it's really not helping. So I think that, staying out of the all or nothing mindset. And also you really hit on this well. It's being very intentional with your choices because you can have that buttery microwave bad popcorn. And if that is your intentional choice, then that is going to be probably the best choice you could make. If that's
Right.
going to be the difference, like I said to
And
the woman on the
enjoy
coaching call,
it.
yeah, as long as you enjoy it, but like take the guilt out, take the shame out of it, and just sit there and enjoy it. Like
Yeah.
it's okay. And
Yeah.
look, I mean, you've been able to do this and you're still 25 pounds down and still in phase one. So it's,
Right.
for you, it's showing that, okay, it's possible to do this in a realistic way, which is why this is it can be done for life. Because there's no just like going off from it, right?
Right.
Like it's not like, okay, you're there, bye, see ya, good luck. It's
Right.
like people are incorporating all these things into their life that is becoming like supportive in like many areas, not just weight. Like there's so many. One thing I love about Droplet Club is there's so many non-scale wins that
Mm-hmm.
we see roll in, and I just love it. And I'm so glad that you're a part of it, and I'm super happy for you that you
Thank you.
are experiencing the results that you are, and that you're having, that things are shifting for you and things are changing for you, not just your body, but
Yeah.
really your relationship with food.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. So is there anything else you want to share, or if there's somebody thinking about joining and is kind of on the fence, what would you tell them?
Do it.
Do it.
It will be the best investment in yourself that you will make. But when you do it, do the work.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
because I think that, again, going back to something you had said that I now have up in my classroom, you're the only one with the agency to control your own actions. And I make my fourth graders read that all the time whenever they're not controlling their actions well.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's ingrained in me now that I'm the only one who can control my own actions. But also, I don't know that I would have gotten here on my own. The
Mm.
guidelines have helped me. The connection calls have been amazing. I've only been able to make the Saturday ones live, but I've watched all the replays,
Yeah.
and every single one I've gotten something out of. The Facebook group is amazing, and it's amazing. It honestly has changed my life. It has improved my mental health. Forget about the 25 pounds. They're great. It's wonderful. But I'm now choosing to move closer to 30 minutes a day. My body is feeling better. I'm not as achy. I'm not having highs and lows with moods. I'm more just consistently joyful and
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah.
Um,
Crazy, huh?
yeah, I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
sleeping better. Like, I mean, it's best investment ever.
Ugh, I'm so
Um,
glad that you made that choice to be like, okay, screw it. I can't afford it. I'm doing it.
yeah, like
Um,
I'm lying to myself. I can.
yeah, yeah, I can. You can. And it's worth it. I mean, and I do talk to people and they're like, okay, well, are people getting results? I'm like, oh yeah, for sure. And there
Yeah,
are also people who aren't getting results because they're not doing the work. They're not following along. But
right.
if you follow along, you're going to see results. That's just kind of baked into it.
Yeah,
Um, but I mean, that makes me so happy to hear that you have had so many positive changes and in really a short amount of time as well. It
yeah,
hasn't, it's April 7th now. And you started like the 7th of January. So it hasn't
yep,
been that long. It's going to be amazing to see where you're at like a year from now.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
it was interesting. I had a doctor's appointment today, just establishing myself as a patient with a new doctor, and I said something to them about how, oh well, I've lost like 25 pounds in the last few months because I went whole food plant based, and I said, probably next time you see me, I'll be down more. And it's
Yeah.
to me, it's like I'm confident that's going to happen now
Yeah.
because this is a sustainable way of living. It
Mhm.
lines up with my morals as well as how I want to feel. Um, Cooking this way is not as difficult as people think. There are some weeks when I have energy and I want to get creative and I cook two or three of the fun new recipes. And then there was last week when I felt like I was a big old imposter and there's no way that, I should be on this podcast. And so I literally like didn't batch it all over the weekend. It didn't even cross my mind. And then Monday night, I made a giant, like a whole soup pot full of whole wheat pasta with diced tomatoes, cubed up tofu, like Brussels sprouts, walnut parm, because I'm addicted to that.
Truth. So good.
I ate that for lunch and dinner every day last week. Now I don't recommend that because it doesn't have a lot of variety, of course, but and I had my oatmeal for my breakfast, and that was the week I lost 3 pounds. And it was kind of like my body saying, come on, you got this. Just do
Yeah.
the work. You got it.
You got it. Yes. Well, I'm really glad that you came on because you absolutely deserve to be on here and sharing your story and, sharing all of these, this newfound really a lot of joy in your life. It's crazy how the mental stuff shifts too, and the emotional stuff shifts as well. It's all and it's all connected. It's like, it's such a beautiful thing. So thank you for talking to me and for coming on. And I look forward to hearing your progress and seeing how things go for you. So thank you,
Absolutely.
Stephanie.
Thank you, Molly.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, this is Molly again. So was that episode so inspiring? And that is just one story of many transformations that we've seen through Droplet. So the feedback that we're getting is phenomenal. So if you have some weight to lose and you want to do it in a way that's healthy and compassionate and not about deprivation and not about counting calories, in a way that's really loving and can be with you for the rest of your life, you've got to check out Droplet Club. You can go to dropitclub.com and you'll see all the information. And for our podcast listeners, if you use the coupon code podcast at checkout, you will get $100 off your first 3 months, which is a huge deal. So check that out. And if you have any questions at all, just email us support@cleanfooddirtygirl.com. I would love to be your coach and help you release weight for the last time in a way that is really healthy and in line with your life and your values and really being true to your body. So reach out, use the coupon code, check it out. Hope to see you soon.